Good morning, ladies. Hello, I'm Priya. I am a diva, and I am here to give you some strategies or some framework about how to do this food plan and prep. It's not a meal plan and prep because we eat food, basically all through the day. So it's about giving some thought on how to food plan and prep in a way that works for you. So let me ask this question. How often have you felt at the end of a work day, you come back home and think, oh my goodness, what do I eat now? It's a real question. I have asked that myself. I do ask that sometimes, even these days, and life works that way sometimes. So one of one of our objectives here is to see how we can feel prepared and confident when life happens. Okay. So with that context, let me move ahead. So we will first talk about some factors to consider when we are food planning and prepping, and move on to what are some steps that we can follow so that we are efficient in our food planning and prepping process, and then move on to 3 types of time-saving meals, and then work on seeing how you can create a schedule that works for you. All through my presentation and in all of that I'm saying today, it's about keeping it simple and taking action that is doable. And the doable factor is going to be unique for each of us. There is not one single doable thing or a framework. It's something that you are able to commit to. Okay. And you can see that 3 numbers there, 3 critical steps, 3 types of time-saving meals. The underlying theme behind it is simplicity and also kind of finding the variety, because who likes to eat the same boring meals every day? Not me. So that's the idea behind having that 3. So if I can move ahead. Now, as I mentioned before, that question, right? What do I eat for my dinner today? Or maybe, you are back from 2 doctor appointments and you got home, you thought there was something in the fridge, but there was nothing in there. What do I eat? I want to make sure that I nourish my body well. What do I eat? One of the things that really contributes to making this food plan work for you is your mindset. We all have a why behind why we take care of ourselves in a way. So the idea here is to frame your food plan and prep routine as a self-care activity, and really articulating what is the benefit for you behind meal prepping or food plan prepping. For example, for me, I know when Saturday, Sunday comes, I need to invest that time to make some food ready, because I want to feel prepared, and then it is the peace of mind that I know food is available for myself and for my family. But that because will be different for each of you. If I might quickly ask, would one of you, just out of your head, what is your why? Why do you think you want to food plan?
Just to stay on schedule, just to stay on schedule. And you're not rushing or trying to think of something real quick.
Yeah.
So that way you're eating pretty much at the same time every day.
So making sure that you are in control of, your schedule, making sure that you are in control of how you are nourishing your body is important for you. So, make in your PowerPoint, you can write down your why whenever you feel like. Doesn't have to be something that needs to be done now, but whenever you get to it, write your why. And this is the why that you will come back every week when you feel, oh my goodness, can I just take a takeout? Do I really have to go grocery shop? Do I really have to prep and cook? This is the why that you are going to come back, Because believe it or not, your brains and my brain is really, really, really powerful. If we are able to kind of set our why and come back to it again and again and again, it's going to, pretty soon, not give yourself that, that grace. It's going to form a routine pretty soon. Okay, so the idea here is to find your why on why you want to do it and, put it out there. Maybe stick it on your fridge or in a place where you really see it, so that when that, oh my goodness, do I have to do it again? You have that thing out there which really speaks to you on why you want to food plan and prep. Okay. Moving ahead, as I mentioned before, it's about simplifying the process. We don't want to complicate the process, which means that start slow. If you are someone, I know each of us have a different starting point, but if you are someone who are wanting to restart your food plan and prep process, give yourself the grace. Start on something that is really small and doable. If breakfast is something that you do really mindlessly, you can look at, what can I do to make that breakfast process a little more simpler, make your breakfast a little more nourishing. So start always slow. You don't have to look at your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, everything together and then kind of feel like, oh my goodness, this is so overwhelming. I just can't do it. That's not the thing. It's always about starting slow. Imagine how we all started walking, or even when you see a small kid walking, they take 2 steps and then kind of sit down, and then take 3 steps and then kind of sit down. So the same idea, always start slow, simple, build on your successes rather than, again, those failures are going to happen. There might be a day when you did not, did not do as you had really planned. When that happens, knowing that, going back a little bit is also part of the learning process, and giving yourself the grace and standing up again and saying, oh, it's okay. I did not do well in the last lunch or in dinner. I'm going to try again the next day. And the second thing that I wanted to point out is making it doable for you. Doable in the sense, it has to be easy, it has to be simple. And I am someone who believes in having just the required amount of recipes. For me, I don't go beyond 3. 3 is something that I can manage. So if I have 3 lunch recipes, 3 dinner recipes for a week, and say for the next week I have 3 and 3, I can again rotate that first 3 on to the next week. So I don't go any crazy than, having that 3. That 3 kind of makes it simple and also gives you the variety that you want. I'll tie that 3 thing again and again, and you will see how that really gets on to even your grocery shopping. The 3 magic number, I would say, really gets on to other factors that we look at. And the idea behind food planning and prepping is to have a healthy plate. And what does a healthy plate look like? If you can rewind back to the last week, it's half of your plate full of veggies, colorful veggies. I had some kale the other day, so this is my plate in some sense. I have kale here, but there are some days I'll have mixed veggies, all roasted. The other quarter could be lean protein. I have some chicken breast here. It could be any lean protein you have, even plant-based proteins such as what we discussed the last time, beans, legumes, tofu, tempeh, whatever you like could be the other quarter, and then some, starch. I had some red potatoes that were nicely roasted in my oven. It could be brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat, any of those starches that we like. So the ultimate idea behind, simplifying and not complicating is to, in some way, make sure that you have a healthy plate as part of your breakfast, as part of your lunch, and as part of your dinner. Okay. Going ahead. Now, we all like some step-by-step process, and here are some, I would really like to simplify it. 3 steps for doable food planning and prepping, and it all starts with planning, which is choosing your meals. I have seen some of my clients actually grocery shopping and then choosing their meals. That sometimes makes it a little discombobulated. So it always makes sense to choose your meals first and then go grocery shopping and then prepping. So choosing your meals, I would say scheduling it in into your routine. For example, in my family, Friday evening is a takeout time, and there is movie happening at 8 o'clock. So I get all my family members together and say that, hey, let's choose your meals from these recipes that I have. And believe it or not, it happens because that incentive of movie time is there. So when you will schedule your choosing your meals is important. It's going to be unique for each of your families. And then finding out the likes and dislikes. My boy is a picky eater. So if I cater to his pickiness, I'm done. He is like, Mom, you can do whatever you want. So really looking at your likes and dislikes. If you're someone who doesn't like tempeh, well, you don't need to have a recipe that has tempeh in it. If you're someone who doesn't like tofu, well, no, we don't need it. So looking at your likes and dislikes will again make your planning process much easier. And then again, how many meals you want to prepare. The magic number 3 helps. It's okay to become 2 at times. And then another question that you want to ask here is, how long are you comfortable being in the kitchen? Are you someone who likes to spend like 3 hours during the weekend, maybe on Sunday, where you can, put in some music and maybe get your family members, or are you someone who likes to cook fresh and just kind of invest 30 minutes every day? So it really depends on your how comfortable or how long do you have the patience to be in the kitchen, right? I'm not going to get into the dishwashing kind of a thing. That's something that, it's part and parcel of the process. But at least, how long are you willing to sit in or stand in front of the stove and make the process happen? So these are some considerations for you to think when you are choosing your meals. Again, it's choosing your meals that kind of sets the process on, and you are able to get on to the next step. As I mentioned before, choosing 100% simple recipes. Now, what does this mean? Not going above 8 ingredients, and to keep it really, really simple, not going beyond 5 ingredients. I really, really want to emphasize, there is power in simplicity. You don't need to have 10 different ingredients to make a wholesome meal. Keeping it really simple. I love the 8 or the 5, nothing more than that. It overwhelms me, and I assume if it's overwhelming me, it's going to be overwhelming for anybody. So choosing really, really simple recipes. There are hundreds of cookbooks out there, and I know you have some favorite websites that you look onto, so choose simple recipes from them, making sure that there is some protein in it, there is some vegetable, there is some starch, and there is some healthy fats, and kind of, get that together. Once you have chosen your recipes, that's your meals, we'll get on to, examples of that. Once you have it, you can create your grocery list. So that's your step 2 there. But everything starts from choosing what meals you want to. Once you have the grocery list, be mindful in the sense, check your pantry, check your fridge and freezer. What do you already have? What do you need? Do you need to actually add in, this is something that I always forget, some kitchen towels or anything extra? Or I really don't want to double buy things and then it'll be inside the fridge or the freezer and it'll go bad. It'll expire basically. So taking that time to see what you already have. I like to delegate this step. If you have kids or if you have spouse, definitely, right? Ask them to kind of give you a hand here, and I'm sure when you ask, they'll definitely come and help you. Or if you are someone, there was a time when during treatment, I had a couple of friends come and help me. So they would actually go and do some of the steps. So really asking for help and not trying to do everything by yourself will ease our life, will also feel others included as part of the process. Second thing is, when do you want to grocery shop? I think that's also a key part. I love calm times during my grocery shopping. So that means I really wake up early. I love Saturday mornings, believe it or not. There is no one in the shop during that time. And I love that time, and that's again something. Some people really like going during the crowded hours. Well, find out when you find the mojo to go and grocery shop. For me, it's usually the wee hours in the morning, and I love it. This is something very, very key. And I speak from my experience. Eat before you shop. So another reason why I go in the morning is I usually have my breakfast and then I go to shop. By the time it's, ready for lunch, or by the time my stomach starts growling, I'm back home. So that really helps me not pick up those, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's not in the list, but you know what? I want to eat a bit. I really don't want that, right? So making sure that you eat a bit, make sure that your tummy is nice and satisfied before you go to shop. Bring the list with you. Double check your purse to make sure it's there inside. Exactly. So bring the list to stay focused is another tip that you can follow to make sure that you get the things that you need. Yeah, there are times when I have forgotten and I would be like, okay, I'll just go maybe the day later or ask my husband to pick it up, but I make sure that I get all the essentials, one or two things, sometimes, memory lapse happens, and that has. So these are some tips to stay organized when you go to grocery shopping. When you grocery shop, I'm sure you would have heard this many times, stay in the periphery of the store for most part. That's where all your fresh produce is, fresh meat, everything. That doesn't mean that you cannot go into the aisle. Of course, I go into the aisles to pick up my favorite whole grain pasta or whole wheat pasta. But ideally, staying in the periphery of the grocery shop helps us being mindful of the type of food that we are picking up. Okay, so that's another key tip for you when you grocery shop. This is another neat little trick that I have noticed and experienced and do it for myself. So I get back from the grocery shop. Now the next thing is I'll actually load my fridge or my pantry with whatever I have got. So sometimes if I don't chop my veggies, some of them tend to get bad, or I'll forget, or whatever be it. So to make sure that I am prepared with the next step, which is the prepping and cooking, I have found this neat little trick. I'm just back from the grocery shop. I'm full of energy because, I have just unloaded my grocery. What I do is whatever fruits or vegetables need to be washed and chopped, I'll actually wash and chop them, because that's one step closer to cooking or one step closer to eating. For example, I'll have my fruits portioned out with nuts. So that's my snacks already ready there. So just investing like 10 to 15 minutes more before you put all your fresh produce inside the fridge, washing, chopping, trimming, whatever you need to do that little activity or little chore before you put it onto the fridge kind of moves you a step closer to cooking or prepping the next day. Okay, that's a neat little thing that has worked wonders for me, worked magic. So I really wanted to share that with you today. The third step from that 3-step process is prepping and cooking. Now, cooking doesn't have to be, you cook everything. It can be you cook everything. There are many ways by which you can get ready for your meal. I want to highlight 3 easy meals or 3 easy ways that you can get that cooking part ready. Okay, moving on to the next, there are 3 simple meal types. Again, highlighting the 3. One is simple, fast, and fresh. Second one is all ready and done. And the third one is prep once, cook fresh. And this really caters to the question that I asked you before. What type of a person are you? How comfort or how long do you want to be in the kitchen, right? So if you are someone who likes to cook fresh, this is something that you can do. You can actually prep your meat, means marinate your protein, put oil and spices in your veggies. You just need to batch cook your grains. If you are wanting to incorporate it, you can actually prep everything, put it into the freezer bag and, put it in your freezer. And then one thing you have to remember though, if you are preparing for dinner, you have to make sure you have to thaw it, right? Which means you have to put a reminder. But if you're that sort of a person, this is a way for you to get prepared ahead of time. If you are someone who likes everything to be done, all ready and done is is the soups or the stews that you can prepare ahead of time. I love my lentil soup. It's a easy grab for me, so I love to batch cook that ahead of time. If you have instant pot or slow cookers, or even if you are a stovetop person, it comes together really fresh. Simple, fast, and fresh. It's basically 3 square meals in the sense I would batch cook a bunch of veggies. I call it easy ratatouille. I don't know if you have. I would have like 3 colored veggies, say bell peppers, different colors, some sweet potatoes, or maybe some asparagus. I'll just chop everything, mix some spices and oil, and really roast it inside the oven. So I have my veggies ready. I'll batch cook my grains or my starch, whatever you want, and then I'll also batch cook proteins, whichever one you want. So this is like 3 things, and they kind of put it together so that you have that healthy plate as part of your meals, okay? So I think these are explanations. If you want a little bit more, as I mentioned before, 3 square meals, each component is prepped and cooked, and you just have to you can even flavor them with different spices if you want that variety. And then, it's actually very simple cooking techniques, roasting in the oven, roasting in the oven, and batch cooking your grains, okay? These are explanations on what it could be. As I mentioned before, all ready and done is just soup, stews, mason jar salads, or something that's very easy. Like for me, after today, I have a salad ready in my lunchbox. I just have it and go on to the clinic where I practice. So these are things that you can do a little ahead of time with some intention. Remember the why that we wrote before, right? With some intention, these are different strategies that you can do. Prep once, cook fresh. As I mentioned before, you can marinate your protein, add spices and oil to veggies, and believe me, kids really love to do this. My husband likes to do it, so really call them in because they love organizing things for whatever reason. So look at, the strengths that they bring in, and you just have to cook whole grains ahead of time. Even if you don't want to cook, you get those 1-minute brown rice, etc. So you can actually buy that too if you don't want to cook your grains ahead. So all I'm trying to convey here is with a little bit of intention and with a little bit of, plan ahead or be prepared kind of a mindset will really help each of us have a healthy plate to nourish ourselves. Again, it's about taking the doable action. Never go like, I'm going to do it everything. No. Take it one step at a time, really master your one step, and then, go to the next step. Bless you. So you would have this blank sheet up there, and you will see there are 3 main commitments here. If you see here, when are you doing the following, right? Those are the 3 steps, if you remember. When are you going to choose your meals? Schedule it in, put it in. If you need options, maybe Friday doesn't happen for me, maybe Saturday morning. Yes, of course, put those options there, write it down. There is something about writing it there and, getting back to it. Your brain does, fun stuff when you actually write it down. So schedule it in. When are you going to grocery shop? Write it down. It's a Saturday or a Sunday or even a Monday. Write it down. And when are you going to prep and cook? Put it down. At least when you are getting used to the routine, write it down, and over a period of time, when you write it down, multiple times, you really don't have to write it down again. It's about getting that commitment for yourself that you are going to invest time and effort during these times to take care of yourself, to take care of your health. That's the idea here. And this neat little planner, I love its simplicity, and it also caters to the snacks and beverages. I think snacks were one of my weak points, because I love to snack, but when I write it down here, if I say I'm going to have cottage cheese with carrots, or I say I'll have dates and nuts, when I write it down, I know it is there, and I know I'm going to steer away from other distractions, you know what I'm meaning, other distractions that's so ample, right, in our environment. So writing what you're going to eat or even drink might help getting into a routine. This is an example of one of the weeks that I got ready with. You can see that, as I mentioned before, I did write down when if there are eating outside home there, I make sure I write it down. That gives me the prompt that I need to be prepared. If I'm going to go out with friends, I'm going to look ahead of the time the menu of that particular restaurant, and I'm going to make sure what I'm going to order. I'm not going to what do they say? I'm not going to fall prey to the what do they say? To the yes, exactly. To the temptations. I want to make sure that I am in charge of how I am treating my body. So you can see here, Friday night is the takeout night, and we are very intentional when we do that. That doesn't mean I don't have pizza. I do have pizza. But, when I take out the pizza, I do make sure that I have salads on the side so that, I do enjoy the pizza and I have salads too. So when I have the takeout, this is when my planning happens. So it's very intentional here. And on Saturday, I have my smoothie and I go out for my grocery shopping, lunches out with the family. And then this is something that I do in the afternoon on that day. I draw my boy's help or, my husband's help, whoever is available at that time, I kind of call them. And then Sunday is usually a batch cooking day, whatever I feel like, whatever I have scheduled it in. I make sure I batch cook at least a little bit of it. So cooking oatmeal might happen, or I might, just portion it out and keep. I love doing this muffins ahead of time because that also caters to my snacks. And if you see here, there are only 3 recipes for each, or maybe even 2. 1, 2, 3. 3 recipes for breakfast, even 2 works. If I look at lunch, this is something that I would put together with the 3 square meals and 2. That's all for my lunch. And I do have leftovers sometime, which will go on to the other days. Dinner, 1, this used here. 1, the same thing, it's left over here. Very simple. I don't have much, lot of options in there. And do I get complaints from my family that it's boring? Yes, I do. So what do I do? The next week I'll do, a little different flavor, or I'll do a different recipe. But I think the one underlying thing is everybody feels satisfied after the meal. So this is a very simple routine. Again, find the routine that works for you. Okay, that's the thing, and take small steps so that you can find success in what you're doing and build on that success, on the success that you get. So to summarize, your mindset matters. Find your why. Why do you want to food plan and prep? Write it down in big, bold letters, so that you can come back to it every week when you feel like, I don't want to do this. Well, I had my why, and that's why I'm doing this again and again. Find out a plan that works for you. Use the blank sheet to write down what you think you like. Look at your favorite website. Take your favorite cookbook. Make it simple. Don't go to, having a lot of ingredients. Keep it really, really, really simple so that it's doable for you. Make prepping fun, right? Don't make it a chore. Gather help that you need. And the 4th thing is be open to learn and grow. It is always a growth process. We are always learning. Learn from what worked and what did not work, and keep on making small improvements so that you can slowly get to that routine that is working and doable for you. I also wanted to draw your attention to this tracker that is here. If you are someone who likes journaling or tracking, you can actually check mark if it has worked for, if you have had a healthy plate, or not. This is just a tool for you to track how you have been eating. Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you find your little routine that works for you, and continue to invest in your health and in your well-being, and learn and grow. I'm open for any questions that you may have.